Your ancient Neanderthal DNA could be why you're an early riser. Early risers might have Neanderthal DNA to thank for their morning habits, an early study suggests. An analysis found genes passed on by Neanderthals and Denisovans, two ancient cousins of modern-day humans, may help make some of us morning people. And this was really exciting to us and not expected. Tony Capra, the University of California, San Francisco, told New Scientists, Neanderthals and Denisovans passed on DNA that increased our morningness, and this has been retained in modern human populations, he says. It's possible that Neanderthals and Denisovans evolved those mutations by living in colder, darker environments for longer than our direct ancestors, according to the study. How much Neanderthal DNA do we have? Every human alive today owes the overwhelming majority of their DNA to Homo sapiens who lived in Africa until relatively recently, and along the way scientists think some of our ancestors picked up genes, genetic material from extinct branches of humanity, including Neanderthals and Denisovans. Much of those variations have been weaned out over time, but scientists think people of European and Asian descent still owe about 2% of their genome to Neanderthals, and people from Papua New Guinea can trace about 5% of their DNA to Denisovans, according to the New Scientist. Neanderthals and Denisovans ventured out of Africa hundreds of thousands of years ago, much earlier than our direct ancestors, so they had a lot more time to tailor their genes to the colder, dark environments in Western and Northern Eurasia. Our ancestors only started facing this type of weather about 50,000 to 60,000 years ago, which is when there was a big wave of migration into Europe. So it would make sense that these genetic mutations from Neanderthals and Denisovans would give some of us a leg up in the cold Eurasian winter months. Tracking mutations, Tony Capra at the University of California, San Francisco, and his colleagues set out to investigate whether some of these DNA variations could have made us early risers, thus helping us make the most of the short Eurasian winter days. To assert his theory, Capra and his colleagues compared the genomes of 3 Neanderthals and 1 Denisovan to the genomes hundreds of thousands of modern-day humans from a repository called the UK Biobank. They found more than 1,000 mutations shared between modern-day humans and Neanderthals or Denisovans, per the New York Times. Several had previously been tagged to be involved in regulating the human body clock. By looking at questionnaire results from people in the biobank, the scientists found that those carrying these mutations were more likely to describe themselves as early risers, per the Times. And that was really the most exciting moment of the study when we saw that, Capra said. More work needs to be done. While the study is promising, it needs to be taken with a grain of salt, other scientists said. Biobank studies only suggest an association between genes and symptoms or behaviors. Scientists usually require more experimental work to make sure that there is a one-on-one link between the genes and the traits. We're also at the beginning of our understanding of how our body regulates our metabolism. So it's not clear whether carrying a specific mutation means you will be a morning person, because a lot of other factors are usually at play, Capra and his colleagues said in the study. This is an interesting and well-done study, but the relationship between our DNA and traits can be complex. Joshua Aki at Princeton University told New Scientist, he said, I think the authors have made a compelling case that it should be studied in more detail. One way to study this might be to engineer human cells in the lab with the Neanderthal and Denisovan body clock mutations to see how it affects their behavior, said Michael Daneman, evolutionary geneticist at University of Tartu in Estonia. And the study, he said, represents a step forward that not only sheds light on living human DNA, but could help us better understand Neanderthal biology. The research was published in the peer-reviewed journal Genome Biology and Evolution on Thursday. How does that explain that my sister is an early riser, who is 1 year younger than me, and I'm a night owl? This is by Marianne Gounod, Business Insider, on Science Alert. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.